The wedding was supposed to be a beautiful escape for both of us. My cousin was getting married at this luxurious countryside venue nestled between rolling hills and old oak trees. And my wife Jenna had been excited for weeks. She had picked out her dress like it was a red carpet moment and laid out our matching outfits days in advance. I couldn't stop talking about how nice it would be to get away from the noise of the city and breathe something softer, quieter together. I thought everything between us was steady. No fights, no awkward silences, just the usual wear and tear work schedules and occasional missed dinner, or at least that's what I told myself. But something shifted the moment we arrived at the venue. It was subtle at first, just a feeling, like the temperature dropping before a storm. Jenna suddenly became unusually animated, especially around a guy I didn't recognize. He was tall, the kind of attractive that people notice even when they're not trying to. He carried himself with that effortless confidence that doesn't need to speak loudly. I caught them whispering at the bar. Too close, too casual. When I asked her who he was, she waved it off like it meant nothing. "Oh, just an old friend," she said, sipping her drink. "Nothing serious ago. Nothing serious." That phrase, "nothing serious," lodged in my chest like a splinter. Because throughout the evening, I watched the two of them move in orbit, around each other, laughing at things no one else heard, leaning in when the music got louder, her hand brushing against his arm like it had a memory of being there before. It was all so smooth, so practiced, so intimate in a way that screamed familiarity. I kept my composure. It was a wedding after all, and I wasn't about to turn it into a spectacle. But my instincts wouldn't shut off. Her body language told a different story than her words. She wasn't just catching up with an old friend. She was reliving something, reaching for something, repeating something. I stayed close for most of the night, keeping an eye on her without making it obvious. But after dinner, she slipped away. One moment she was there smiling at the toast, and the next her seat was empty. I waited a few minutes, then went looking. I checked the hallway near the ladies' room. The garden lit with string lights. The little path where guests wandered off for cigarette breaks. Nothing. She was gone like smoke through my fingers. Then I heard it, laughter low and familiar, coming from behind the old barn at the edge of the property. I followed it quietly. Something inside me already bracing for what I didn't want to see, but couldn't stop walking toward. And there she was, my wife, in his arms, kissing him with a kind of fire you don't fake. It wasn't a slip. It wasn't a drunken lapse. It was deliberate, passionate, familiar, like they were picking up right where they left off, without hesitation, without guilt, like I was a ghost in the background of her life. I stood there for a moment, not even shocked, just numb, frozen. Not because I didn't see it coming, but because now it was real. It had a face. It had her face. And then I turned and walked away. No confrontation, no screaming, no tears, just quiet. I went back to our table, grabbed my keys, and walked out. She didn't even notice. She was still behind that barn, lost in someone else's arms. While I drove back to the life we shared and began packing into a small overnight bag. I didn't call her. I didn't answer the text she sent when she finally realized I was gone. I let the silence stretch and tighten around her like a noose. The next morning, I sent one message. Simple, clear, final. "I know what you did. I saw you. But don't bother. Coming home." That was it. No bargaining, no space for lies. I blocked her on everything. Her number, her emails, every digital thread that tied us together. I contacted my lawyer. We didn't have much to split, but I made sure she couldn't touch a thing that was mine. I froze the joint accounts, changed the locks, pulled every piece. Of leverage, I could into my corner. I wasn't just leaving. I was erasing the path back. She tried everything. She called from unknown numbers. She sent long, weepy emails begging to explain, swearing it didn't mean anything. But the image of her kissing him like I never existed, like I never mattered, was burned into my memory. And her apologies couldn't touch it. Her tears didn't move. Me. Her excuses meant nothing. I gave her no closure. I didn't offer her a stage to rewrite the story in her favor. I simply vanished from her world. That silence, sharp and merciless, drove her mad. 2 months passed. I heard from mutual friends that the guy she cheated with disappeared on her. Ghosted her completely. Turns out he wasn't looking to start anything new, just to revisit something old and shallow. When the thrill wore off, he vanished like smoke. She was left behind, heartbroken, humiliated. And when people started whispering about why I left the wedding so suddenly, the truth began to spread. Her reputation took a hit. She couldn't spin away. Meanwhile, I focused on myself. I started going to the gym again, pushing out every ounce of bitterness through sweat and repetition. I traveled new cities, new skies, new spaces, where a name had no echo. I even landed a promotion at work, something that might have felt overwhelming before, but now felt like breathing clean air for the first time in years. Turns out cutting ties with a cheating spouse does wonders for your mental clarity. I felt lighter, sharper, alive again. A year later, I ran into her at a friend's event. She was standing near the drinks table, hair flatter, face more tired, like life had pressed on her hard in the months since. She tried to smile, tried to say hello, but all I gave her was a cold nod and kept walking. That one glance held everything. It said more than any screaming match ever could. I didn't need some explosive revenge. No grand finale. She had detonated her own world with her choices. All I did was let her live in the silence I left behind. In that silence, it said,